Hold on, let me hit the record button. All right. Oh, hold on. Why are you pinning? Why are you pulling up? You shouldn't be pulling up.
Greetings, everyone. This is Koku from the Bitter Medicine Podcast, inviting you to tune in to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAZ Radio.
Peace, family. This is Oni, inviting you to listen to the Pro-Black Perspective, where Black problems are addressed with Black solutions.
Greetings, fam. Tune in to The Learning Curve with me, the Revolutionary Matron on KWAZ Radio.
Welcome to episode 25 of the Harsh Reality Podcast. I'm your host, D Webb, and today I am joined by my esteemed co-hosts. We got first the one and only Mr. L. Miguel. L, you in the building, brother?
Always, you know. People time, but you know, I'm
CPT for
apologies
sure.
for the lateness.
It's to be expected. We on CPT time, but we apologize. We're gonna keep it more prompt. I got news that Ra should be coming back next episode. She's coming back in October, so we'll get the whole crew back in here. So that's pretty dope. And on this podcast, we plan to hit on various topics revolving around the latest news, business, family life, hip hop, social commentary, and pretty much any recent headline that affects our community. Disclaimer, got to throw it out there. We are not experts, just everyday people with a small platform, adding our 2 cents to the various subjects we plan on discussing today. And also make sure y'all go follow the podcast at The Harsh Reality Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Finally, we got a shout out. Well, firstly, let's shout out the Melanated Conscious Society, MCS, headquartered in Jacksonville, Florida, is a mentorship organization teaching various life skills as well as knowledge of self to our youth. Make sure y'all go follow them on Facebook and Instagram for latest news, meetings, and valuable information. Also, big shout out to the KWAZ radio family. KWAZ providing the latest and greatest and conscientious-oriented content. Make sure y'all go follow them on all forms of social media, as well as subscribe to the Bitter Medicine Podcast hosted by Koku and the Pro-Black Perspective hosted by Oni. And of course, the Learning Curve hosted by the Queen Sister, the Revolutionary Matron. Shout out to her. I've been on her podcast a couple times, so it's pretty dope. And lastly, the podcast is now on Patreon. Please donate. And of course, all proceeds go to upgrading the show, providing the best content we can for our loyal listeners. And also for those looking to be featured in the BOB spotlight or just want to leave, a comment or whatever to the show, y'all can email us at theharshrealitypod@gmail.com. Now that I'm done with all that, without further ado, let's get into the topics. And big headline we had lately is the crisis at the border. More specifically with the Haitians coming up. I think 14,000 Haitians showed up. And I think what we want to hit on mostly is kind of the vast difference that it seems that they treated the recent Afghan immigrants as opposed to the Haitians showing up at the border. I know we all seen that iconic picture of the brother running with the food and a guy on horseback grabbing his collar or something like that. Just crazy what's going on down there. So what's your thoughts on the Haitian immigrants? And do you see some hypocrisy? You see some on the American side in terms of how they treat different people? What you got, L?
Definitely, bro. I mean, it's one of those things. I try not to be a feelings type of person. But just looking at the aesthetics of it, man, like just the imagery, like like we watching Black people who escaped an extreme natural disaster seek refuge in a state that allegedly has open borders anyway. It's not like they were fleeing just for the sake of not wanting to be in their nation. They probably had nowhere to go after that catastrophic earthquake. And just seeing border patrols on horseback with whips, like, come on, man. Like this isn't like that's kind of crazy, and aside from the variance of how our nation handled the Haitians at the border, but just the imagery, it's disgusting, like what is this? This 1800s, just ride around whipping Black people, like we're runaway slaves, and then talking about policy, the Afghanis refugees that came over got visas and $5,000 check, and that they left because running from their own people, essentially, so I think it's one of those things that, if that was, what's that TV show where they reverse the racism, where they have like the Black people whipping white people, if that was the imagery that was depicted on CNN or Fox News, it would be a United Nations outcry, but because of the numbness to Black people being beat down, I think it hasn't even been shown too much on TV. It's craziness.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm still getting notifications about helping the Afghan, Afghan immigrants donate Uber and Lyft and all this other stuff. But as soon as like the Haitian immigrant show, it's like, oh, y'all got to go. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. And that's like kind of always been the policy. If you look at historically, because they used to come in through the ports in Florida a lot of times, right? And Cubans is like, all right, y'all come in, with open arms, and then Haitians, they'll push the tire right back into the war. You know what I mean? Y'all got to go, bro. So the entire, and it's crazy reading up on how, historically Haiti, wasn't always a poor, we think of it as a poor, dilapidated area, when in reality, they was one of the, back when it was colonies, one of the most powerful colonies at the time, even helped the United States in certain places to fight in wars and things like that back in them days. And now it's just like, nope, we not honoring none of that. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got to go.
Yeah, definitely a war-torn nation that had a lot of natural resources that if they could have, if they had more control over their natural resources, probably, they would have a lot more world economic power. But that Haitian Revolution pretty much transferred a lot of their resources to the white man, primarily bankers in the U.S. and probably in the French too. But even that history is like, in today's media climate, right? Like, it's like, why on horseback? Maybe not so much why whipping, but why on horseback? You got buggies, like we know the type of technology they have out there. It's like if I was on that border patrol team and they said, all right, let's go get the horses and whips, I'd be like, nah, bump that. Like, like what task force in America says we're going to go get out on horses and try to do whatever they were planning to do with horses and whips? I think the average law enforcement person would be like, nah, that's a horrible day. But the eagerness in that man's face, you know, in that one picture, kind of told it all. Like he was like, "We gonna do this the old way, boys," you know, like, you know, and it was just, I don't think it sat right with any black person's soul, you know. But once
Nah,
again, we don't outcry what's going on there,
it's,
you know.
it,
You're not hearing Black Lives Matter. You're not seeing that. Like if Black Lives Matter, it should matter to Haitians too. In my opinion, there should be the same energy kept. Matter if they're Haitian, you know, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, because they're, they're dark Puerto Ricans as well. But keep the same energy across the board. And it's just one of those things, man. I just always wonder why are we so selective with what we go to war for? Not even go to war. I won't use that verbiage, but like when we champion crimes against us. Like
mm,
what is the criteria for how we select that? You know, because a white man on a horse and on a horseback with a whip in his hand chasing Haitians at the border, I would think that would.
Yeah, that's rough right there, you know. And my thing is, you got so many. How many Haitians you have living in the United States right now? Like, where your fam at? I know you got cousins. You know, like why is nobody here to sponsor you to get you in? You feel me? I know they had the one thing I seen Jay Morrison post something up where he's down there and he's talking to one of the ladies that's in charge. I guess she's working with ICE or something in terms of putting them on the buses to go places. And she like, yeah, when we used to let them go and let people take them, like these church people and stuff, they just would drop them at shelters. And then she's like, I get calls at 11 o'clock in the morning and I have to get out of bed with my family because and I'm like, first and foremost, your biggest concern is you got to wake up, you got to do your job. I mean, but secondly, where are all these Haitian Americans that's living in the country right now? Like, why is there nobody there to sponsor these cats? You know what I'm saying? And I see a lot of people talking about it, but like you said, I haven't seen no real action. And why is certain groups favored over other groups? Right? It is what it is, right? You complain about one group, but then you let this other group in. You collecting donations for these cats, and I haven't really even seen too many campaigns after the earthquake to help Haiti. You know what I mean? Like, I ain't seen none of that.
Talked about you'll see it. Haiti hit with another earthquake, but that's it. We seen campaigns to get Afghan personnel. Now, granted, I'm not saying they didn't need help either. But they came over. If you're talking about warfare, right? We're talking about warfare. People fled that nation. And they saying that the FBI was able to vet every civilian that got on those flights. They came over here, handed every one of them visas and the families $5,000. Now, granted, that's not a lot, in retrospect, but they got asylum, they got clothes, toys, food, and 5 racks. Haitians out there living on the land in tents, just trying to figure out something. And the last thing they need is the white man on horseback with a whip, chasing them down while they're trying to figure out how they're going to put their life back together. That's, I mean, it just is what it is. Like, regardless, and probably, to the white listeners, to the white men and women, I'm not saying that, they're going to, but they were doing their job. It's at some point you got to just say, man, this is some bullshit. This is some bullshit, and this is what it is, we always see the discrepancies with, and then there's no outcry, right? There's nobody that champions like, well, shit, what about the Haitians that's suffering? They don't have nowhere to go to. It's not like, I'm not saying like, the Afghani refugees have much of an option, but the people that's taken over are your people. Essentially, a lot of those people that they were trying to protect were informants, and, even in our society, snitches get stitches, and it's just is what it is. We don't see we don't see. Well, I guess we do see snitches get asylum, but not like they giving them asylum. They got 5 racks, place to stay, got the visa, got to live out of country. You know, you seeing Snowden still on the run. You know, you know what I mean?
Wow.
Like, so
and that's the big
to me,
thing too.
Yeah,
Not my
what
bad
you
to
were
cut
saying?
you. But yeah, that's the big thing too, is like the people that's coming over, the Afghans are coming over, regardless of how you feel, like in their society, they pretty much snitched on their own people, right?
Yeah.
Snitched on their own. That's why they running. You know what I mean? And people don't realize a lot of those people they talking about American citizens trapped over there. Those are Afghan nationals who got citizenship for being great snitches. So now they got to roll. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, nah. And then ironically, the same people they help to snitch on their own people is now like, okay, these people in charge again, they back. You know, good luck. You know what I mean? So
good luck, and we left them mad weapons.
Mm-hmm. So when you what they say is Scarface, when you lay down with Colombian dogs, wake up Peruvian fleas or something, he said like you got to kind of reap what you sow. You know what I mean? Like you took a risk by helping this regime over this regime, and now you know your side you chose to help. It's like good luck, homeboy.
And it's crazy because like you know who the snitches were. They were the same ones hanging on the wheels of the plane when that joint was like 2,000 feet in the air. Like you thought you was gonna make it all the way across the water, hanging on to the
what's the average speed of a plane? 300 miles an hour. Yo,
some of them people was bro, I don't even understand. But you know a lot of them were definitely the informants. They's like, get me up out of here. I'm dead, bucko. You know, like it was, you know, but you know, to kind of draw it all back in, like they had an option. They didn't have to leave. It was nothing, there was no imminent threat outside of their own actions. You know, for Americans, yes, we're talking about armed service members, you know, acts of war. They didn't have a choice. You know, the American born citizens that are over there in uniform didn't have a choice. You know, the ones that lost their lives over there in those operations didn't have a choice. That's who we should be mourning. And we should be questioning how, you know, I was, you know, you got Haitians. Now, granted, not all of these people might agree, but you have people that, like, if there was an earthquake in New York City, right? We're talking about what, 8 million people? Where would those people go? They would have to be scattered around the nation, right? And like we're talking about with the severity of Haiti, you know, would we, or not even Americans? That was a bad analogy, but like say Spain, right? Say Spain got hit with an earthquake with the same severity of Haiti, and they tried to seek refuge in America. Would they? The question comes down to would they get treated the same as Black people? I'm just saying Black people because they are Black. They're Black people. And I think the answer we all know would be no. They'd probably be welcomed with open arms. And and that's not surprising. You know, you look at the history of this nation, it's not surprising. But I digress. I think Black people, we pick and choose what we want to defend. And it's almost like if it's not within arm's reach, we don't really care. And that's the I think the part of me that bothers me the most is that, you know, we more worried about R. Kelly's trial. We already know he was a dirtbag. We know he was a creep. Why we still champion for R. Kelly to get what's coming to him, but we not champion why in the year 2021 we're allowing Border Patrol to ride horseback and chase down Haitians seeking help with whips. You know, like that. We gotta do better with where we put our energy in. And it seems like every time there is something like this, there's something to distract us. You know, R. Kelly, Bill Cosby, Ben Simmons. You know, like, you know, it just seems like there's always something. Nicki Minaj. You know, it's always something. We're talking about thousands of people who just lost their homes. Their homes can't be built. You know, like their homes can't be built back where they're from. You know, As a person that's lived through a natural disaster, you know, I was fortunate to pick up and find work within my nation. But you know, they are in a whole, they're in a foreign land, and have to pick up and start. I couldn't imagine that, bro.
Nah, that's nuts, dude. And I think you hit it on the head, bro. Like every time something comes up, you get a distraction to what's really going on. And from what somebody was telling me, that a lot of them Haitians was already living like in Brazil and places like that. And then all of a sudden, just 14,000 decided, yo, the day is the day we riding out. You know what I'm saying? And that's, you know, how the coordination that would take. You know what I'm saying? So it had to be something in between that to make people just be like, all right, you know, September 15th, we out. All 14K of us. And even if you think from a you know, a common sense perspective, it makes more sense. You think you get in, you think you can be better get off 20 of y'all at one time or 14K of y'all showing up at one time. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, the coordination it takes to, you try to get 50 people to plan a vacation together. We've all experienced that. Try to get 50 people to plan of it. Now, try to get 14,000 people to navigate hundreds of miles to get to a border stop at one time. So I'm like, yo, where's the coordination at up in here? You know, who coordinated this joint?
I mean, what they did was remarkable, though. You know, men, women, and child showing up in one piece is remarkable. You know, and if they were in Brazil, I mean, shit. If I was Haitian in these times, and I'm looking at how much money America throwing out, we just throwing money. We giving money away. Oh, you haven't worked in 2 years? Here's a check. Oh, you got a lot of kids and you already giving you more money. Here's a check. Oh, you know, matter of fact, here's some more tax credit. Oh, shoot, look at these Afghans that we just rescued. Here's $5,000. You know, I'd be like, well, shit, America, give me where's my check? You know, like you know, ain't no too many other nations doing that. You know, and not saying that we should be doing that, but shit, you got a better chance here than anywhere else in the world. I don't know if people well versed in traveling, but a lot of countries, you know, shoot, look at our counterpart. Can I even say that country? You know, the country that cannot be named.
We know the redacted country. Yeah, we know.
Yeah, the redacted country. I can't even say that, you know, but you look over there, they turning people away. Natural born citizens, you know, hundreds and if not thousands of years of DNA tracing people back to that. This is my country, and they can't even live it. Being too dark, you know. It's like, yo, people better you know, understand that the rest of this world, you know, they don't like black people either. This is, you know, granted, all the stuff that we got going on over here, you still got a lot more liberties and rights than a lot of other nations. So, I mean, whoever did coordinate that and organize the journey to this nation, you know, I'm sure that even though they're going through that, they like, man, it's better than being where I was at. So they'll make it through, you know, as we all, you know, black people do. But I just, you know, as American black people, and, you know, shout out to my Haitians. Haitians are very proud people. And maybe I probably should have talked to a couple people, Haitians that I know, reached out and see what they were tracking, see how they felt. Granted, I know how they felt, you know, but you know, it's one of those things. I just wish we had same kind of level of organization in our own nation, and, you know, to be able to be mobile and do more to help. You know, every black person should have been able to, you know, as soon as that happened, we should have had a delegation of, you know, from leadership to say, hey, we need to organize, giving these people X amount of resources. You know, and it's a lot easier said than done. You know, I'm not saying that we you know, I'm not out there organizing either, but it would be nice if we had some kind of organization. And I'm sure there are some, you know, but you know, nationwide, you know, call to help these 12,000 plus people get some of these kids food, toys, clothes. You know, what they at the border of Texas? Where they at?
Yeah, Del Rio, Texas is it where they at right now?
Yeah, Texas weather different, bro. It'd be hot as hell one day, cold at night. You know, might snow out there. It might rain. You know, they might flood. They got some different type of weather. You know, so and they, you know, you talking about a state that's predominantly white and possibly Spanish right now. And you got 12,000 Black people looking for something. That's not received well across our nation. You know what I mean? So I don't know, bro. It just don't sit right for my soul. I don't really have anything logical on it. It just don't look right, don't feel right.
Yeah,
and I wish that we had better coordination of our own to make it better.
Definitely kind of fishy going on. We'll move on to the next one for that. Oh, I gotta say what's up too. We got Harsh. I mean, we got the Oni in the chat. We got Oni down there tuning in. Appreciate you, brother. And Goku, we see you too, brother. Appreciate y'all, the KWAZ radio family. Make sure y'all go subscribe to their channels too. And the next topic I got here is the mandatory jab mandates come down for the private businesses. And his old Joe kind of weaponizing OSHA as part of an increase to authoritarian, I can't say that word, man, push in the name of health. So you see a lot of it's crazy what's coming down the pipeline right now, right? Where I was talking to somebody earlier and I was like, you know, so a status I put up is like, so if you got a restaurant with 99 employees, you good to go, even though y'all handling food, probably dealing with customers on the rig or whatever. But if you get that 100th employee, you that's it. You know what I mean? It's a stupid 19 cesspool, right? And even if you have 3,000 workers, but 2,950 of them are working from home, you still subject to, what's going on with this. So it's kind of crazy the way they're doing it and calling it health. So I kind of see it more as a push to grab power almost. You know what I mean? How you feel about that joint, bro?
Oh, bro, it's so insane because the data is coming out showing, 12-year-old kids myocarditis. That's how you pronounce it, myocarditis.
Oh yeah, the heart joint. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's and they saying, and the initiative was, it's such a small number of people. No, they're starting to track it now closely, and it's dealing to a lot of effects. I would say like reading some of these data points and data sheets and case studies, man, it's like in some of these case studies, it's like a quarter of people with severe adverse effects, permanent disabilities. And it's crazy with that data that they still push such a mandate despite, the medical community. I mean, it's nurses seeing people get the jab that's coming in perfectly fine and 2-3 days later coming in with like heart failure, it's like they like, I ain't about to give you that to me. So, I how I feel about, can we even say his name? I don't know, last time we got flagged.
You got to be codified, bro. You got
to. Sleepy Brown, the albino Sleepy Brown, not to take away from our legend, but
old Sleepy.
Old Sleepy. Albino Sleepy Brown. That tripping, bro. I don't know. And the crazy thing is, we spent a lot of time, we're on quite a few episodes, and you've done other episodes, and we've been pretty consistent with the message. And it might have been because we have that insight of what the executive branch really is about, and that's money and control firsthand. So it's one of those things that we owe. We very non-biased. It was F the last president, and it's F him too. That's a new one too. And
yeah, exactly.
But we kind of seen just with the data, like this man. We took a deep dive on the 94 crime bill. He's not remorseful for it, despite all the data points that come out with how it adversely affected our communities. Then he wanted to put in the lift. What was his plan? The lift every voice and sing bill. Yeah. Or was that the plan? Like, come on, bro. Come on, bro. Like, and then he going, how many you go on one of our biggest platforms of the Breakfast Club, right? On Zoom at that, it was a Zoom call and going to say, if you don't vote for me, you not black. So it's kind of like, and the disgusting thing, black people were like, well, who would you rather vote for? And it's like, you had a whole bunch of other choices in the same political party. And now what I think what this is kind of moving into is the evil realm. To be completely honest, you notice this thing is killing people, and you're mandating a small portion of the population. They say about 70 million people aren't vaccinated. You're talking about maybe 2 million at best. At best, and that's reaching. It might be like 400,000 people that order, you know, as far as the federal side. The private ties, it'd probably be some ways around that. But
even on the Fed side, don't have to cut you off, but even on the Fed side, bro, you have a lot of Fed workers that look like us, man.
Oh, yeah.
Is a fact, yo. Even when you go to the jab mandates in different cities, you know what New York was 60% of the brothers and sisters out there didn't have the stabbies. You feel me? And now they can't go get a taco, can't go get some of that terrible New York pizza and then sit down and eat it.
There's some spots that be slapping.
You know, I'm Chicago, bro. I gotta be biased, bro. And then crazy thing too, I posted one of these charts, man, and it shows the data in VAERS, and say what you want to say about VAERS, you know what I mean? But the chart it showed all of the different jabs throughout the years, right? And how many adverse effects you had reported to them. And this year alone, yo, it's like 200,000% higher. Like you could combine all the years prior and it still don't add up. Since they've been keeping records, it don't even add up to just this year alone. And we in September, yo, we got 3 more months left, yo. And that's nuts, yo. That in itself should say, yo, let's slow it down. Like, how could you mandate after that, yo? Even if you say, all right, 50% of these various cases is garbage. You know what I'm saying? That's still more than any other year combined with the 10 previous years. You know what I'm saying? Like, how could you just mandate after that? How could you in good conscience say, yo, and then say, yo, we kids too, we need to jab them up too. Your kid got a better chance dying on the bus ride to school than from this joint. The data is clear. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, dude, how could you do that? It got to be some other thing going on. And I just
crazy.
Go ahead.
Oh, my fault. Cut you off, bro.
Nah, you good, bro.
Crazy is that they use the data to push the jab, right? And now they're just pretty much saying, like, we've seen this administration just pretty much, like, I thought the last administration was on some effing, but this administration don't give 2 fucks, bro. Like, they used all this data and theoretical data at that to push, getting it out there to people, right? Distributing it. Now the data is coming out worldwide. And one of the things that we talked about this on earlier episode that we did, but like one of the studies that I think came out of Princeton, or one of these things, talked about how it was predicted that there would be an increase of adverse effects in Asian and Black people. And if you look at the data, my mother had 2 friends that was fully vaccinated and died.
You gotta start using jabbed, bro. They were jabbed.
Bro. I just started talking, but got the jab, and they died, and they passed away, and they were fully vaccinated. Well, my mom, who she's not the healthiest person in the world, probably have about 8+ comorbidities, in which they use that as a indication of how well your body might fight the disease, the illness. And she survived and did it relatively naturally. I mean, she did go to the hospital, but a lot of that was because she refused to go to the hospital to get treatment until like day 12, in which most people die from 5 to 7. That's where it takes that's where it takes the turn for the worse. So I say that to say that, the data is showing, like, especially with, they showing that the jab was effective against the alpha variant. And a lot of these doctors and researchers are saying, like, the alpha variant is like gone. It's like wiped off the face of this earth, which to me shows that maybe that all the alpha transformed into the delta. And they're showing that the people who naturally recovered from the illness has a way more resistance against the Delta. So, I don't even understand, with this data coming out, worldwide data, right? Why he put that mandate in after the fact, after I don't even know if I could name that country, the unnamed country.
Yeah, the redacted country. We know
the redacted country, even though this would be bigging them up, but they released the case study that the rest of the world kind of used as a base, for their case studies. And then all of these case studies are now magically lining up as far as numbers and percentages of adverse effects. And we just seeing it, and Black people we got to hold this one. This is on, because Black people got him in office. He championed the vote. He got the vote out of fear, and he's about to lay off probably about 30% of Black people.
Yeah, big facts. We got the pro-Black perspective. Let me read off some of these chats. It's terrible. New York pizza. Yeah, that pizza overrated, bro. It's overrated, bro.
No, you can't go to Manhattan. You gotta go to well, I'm up Jersey pizza better, but you gotta stay away from Manhattan unless you find dining.
And salute to the revolutionary matrix. She's in the building saying greetings. Y'all know it's about agreement and reaffirming bonds tightly. The whole thing with kids pissed me off too. Definitely. The thing with kids is crazy, but that's the biggest customer base, yo. And that's what somebody was telling me earlier. They was like, oh, well, when I was pointing out it disproportionately affects, these mandates is going to affect Black folks the most, right? And they like, well, how can it affect them the most when it's a free jab? I said, you think they making record profits giving away something free? This is supposed to be a college educated sister that said this to me. I said, you think these companies that, I'm not going to name, but we know the big two making record profits, giving away free stuff? Where did the logic come in at, yo? Like, where do you get this logic from? Where are you pulling this in from? You already paid for it. They just ain't snatching it out your pocket. You see that line on your paycheck that says, Fed taxes? There you go. You paying for everything. You paying for a lot of stuff you probably don't agree with. You know what I'm saying?
It's also crazy too, is that, two other points to hit on. One of them was that one of the doctors that came out in one of his studies, he predicted, and the studies actually showed this like 2 months after I watched this video. He said that the jab he seen was 40%. It was dropped his efficiency rate 40% per month after getting the first dose.
Yeah, and 4 shots a year is what it looking like. You gonna have.
That's why they trying to push the third, right? So that kind of tells me that that data is accurate. That data is accurate. And then the other thing he said is that based off of the technology, is that people who receive the jab will pretty much have to be lifelong customers. Like the first time they get like the flu, their body's not gonna know what to do. And then ironically, a video, and this is crazy that this is on World Star Hip Hop, a guy came out and pulled up a case study talking about mRNA technology, DNA technology, and how the Supreme Court ruled that a person that gets this type of procedure done does not have any human rights. And I've read it, and I went and Googled it, and it is an actual case, and it does state that. I think it was like 2013. And they did rule that said any DNA altering, right, which mRNA is in fact, for people, all these nurses that believe that they're doctors, this is a fact from doctors, that mRNA technology is gene therapy, that the Supreme Court ruled that this voids out people's human rights. Now, I don't know how this holds up today, but 2013 wasn't too long ago. And it's kind of crazy that all this technology, and where does Big Pharma make their money? It was, as we all know, keeping people, they don't cure anything. They just keep you lifelong customers,
It's all about the upsell. It's all about the upsell. And it's crazy you say that too, because if you go to their website, one of these aforementioned companies, it speaks about software, like changing the software of your body, essentially, like a computer program. It's all right there in black and white. And this kind of segues into the next topic we got with the NBA Players Association coming out against mandates, right? And then you had Kareem Abdul Jabbar, who's a legendary NBA player. But he's been doing a lot of more so Democrat, liberal type leaning type of literature lately or whatever. But he came out and said that any player, coach, staff that doesn't get the jab should sit out. They shouldn't be allowed to play. So it's like you're basically, once again, disproportionate. What's the NBA? 80% brothers, something along those lines. And a lot of those people and some big name stars, I want to say Andrew Wiggins is one, and LeBron doesn't say anything.
LeBron is part of the machine, like regardless.
Yeah,
He's
he doesn't speak unless he's great.
Speak up against black rights and stuff, but we can't be fooled. LeBron's part of that machine. He was probably the first in line, to get that jab. He probably got a quadruple jab. His big ass. He's like, we're gonna make sure that I don't need no more after this. I know Steph Curry, I believe, got the jab. A lot of 90%, because they touching a different type of money. But which is crazy is that we seen in the finals last year, Chris Paul caught it and he was fully vaccinated, and he was back on the court within a week.
He's doing TikTok videos, bro. I seen him doing a video with his kid, and that's what it differentiates between you testing positive and between you actually being sick. It's two different things. As crazy as that sounds, if you constantly test somebody with the accuracy of the test they give, and you're gonna eventually get a positive, And I know people that milk that system too. I know people that every time they get the sniffles, they go get the test, not because they necessarily so scared, but because, if I get a positive joint, I'm at the crib for 10 days getting paid. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to differentiate between like actually being sick and being symptomatic. And you just, this PCR said, found the old piece of virus on you this time. And now, okay, you got the joint. You got to sit at the crib.
There it is. It's the, if anybody wants to look it up, if you type in Myriad Genetics, you can find a case study. And, you got to read between the lines. It's not going to write out, discuss the verdict, but if you read between the lines, you could clearly see that it ruled against gene therapy. And so it's kind of crazy, a lot of the stuff that's going on with this in these times, and them trying to just fade. What they're doing is they're trying to transfer these numbers not going down to the people that's not vaccinated. But people are so stupid that how could 50% of the population be vaccinated, but the numbers are up like nobody's vaccinated? Like, if that's the case, there should be some slowdown,
They say what, 60%, not even including the people who had the joint, right? They say 60% has got the jabs, right? And then they try to say 99 point some percent of the people that's in the hospital is the unjabbed. Basic math, statistics, that don't even make sense. That's like literally impossible. You probably got a better chance of hitting the lottery than that number they threw out there. 99%, 99. When you pull up multiple articles of people fully jabbed who out the game, got took out, right? So,
and I hate the data too, right? Because one of the reasons of what's happening in the hospitals is that they're selective of who they keep and who they turn away. So, that's not saying that 99% of the people are dying or unvaccinated. That, like that's not true. I'm pretty sure like my mother's.
He keeps saying the same word, bro. We about to get redacted, yo.
Oh, shoot. Yeah. So, that, but, I'm pretty sure the ones that got the jab, they were probably like, oh, you'll feel better in X amount of days, and then took the worse. I'm pretty sure they weren't in the hospital until they needed to be in the hospital. And even when I went to the hospital, when I had it, I just wasn't feeling right. It wasn't that I couldn't breathe or anything. just anybody that had it, you gonna know like it just hits you hard,
Yeah, it's a different type of
it's
like
different.
And once you had that joint before, and you gonna know like when it's coming around again. My barber was telling me he had the joint before. I think he had a few months ago, and he was out in Vegas, right, kicking it. And this dude don't drink. He eats pretty healthy, yo. He on some conscious stuff, right? It's crazy. You always find a conscious barber, yo. They all over the place. But he talking about
dirt.
Yeah, those dirt. But he tell me how like he felt that joint like after a couple of days out there, he felt that joint creeping up. This dude spent like $300 at the juice bar because he know what to do, right? You know what I mean? Like if you know what to do, you can stave it off. You know what I mean? Particularly if you feel a sickness coming on. But it's a very different type of feeling when it's coming on, yo. It's almost it's not like that regular
different
flu
headache. It's a different body ache. It's a different fatigue. It's to keep it a buck, I feel like maybe a few weeks ago, I started getting it again. The fatigue kicked in, but it wasn't as bad, and my headache was bad, like real bad. And just it then just subsided, and I don't know if it wasn't, I didn't have any other symptoms. The fatigue didn't put me down because the first time I was stuck to the bed, I couldn't get up, but it's saying all of that, it's crazy that they're just missing the herd immunity data points out there.
That don't exist no more, yo. You ain't heard. You got to get the jab, yo. Natural immunity has been completely took out. And as far as like the sports leagues, man, getting back to the topic at hand, it's crazy how they're kind of relenting to these things. And you got to think about these A1 athletes, right? I have yet to hear about any of these elite athletes like succumbing to, the jab. I heard about a couple people getting, particularly in NBA last year, it's pretty much the same. It's going to be the same across the board. You're going to lose about 15, 20 pounds. I want to say who the boy that played for the guy that played for the Knicks that had a pretty good, Randall. I want to say he said he lost about 20 pounds. Tatum, about 15, 20 pounds. But these are elite athletes, and we know one of the things we know that obesity, diabetes, these comorbidities are things that are, things that lead into a lot of these deaths. It ain't just one thing. You don't see perfectly healthy people just dropping. It's on average 3 to 4 comorbidities. So it's kind of crazy that these leagues are folding to that. Meanwhile, these are most elite athletes in the world. You know what I'm saying? These are elite bodies you're talking about, you know what I mean? And it's crazy because it used to be, we talk about the Jordan flu game all the time, right?
Yeah.
Which, it was seen as a sign of perseverance if you could push through sickness or something like that. Now you get Chris Paul perfectly healthy. He got to go to the crib and do TikTok videos in the middle of the playoffs because of a test. You know what I'm saying? It ain't even confirmed if he had enough viral load to even spread it. You know what I'm saying? If he even have it. So it's crazy how in such a short amount of time, we talking from the 90s to the 2000s, how it just become like no perseverance whatsoever. It's like you got the cooties, yo. Like when you was a kid, like you got to get away. No, he had the cooties. Don't touch me, type of deal. It's nuts.
It's insane. It's especially like that there isn't any objection to the jab across the board. Like to me, it shows you what media is. Like media, like when you got the good cop, bad cop. Sometimes Fox is the good cop and CNN is the bad cop, and then they swap roles and then they bring in the median cop who's kind of like, well, I see both sides, which is usually MSNBC or somewhere else along the lines, but it's across the board. And the crazy thing is how they flip-flop the media, and nobody questions it. When it first happened, when the illness first came out, they were like, don't wear a mask, it's stupid. What would you do that for? That's stupid. Why would you? It's not that bad, right? And then it kept flopping, it kept changing, it kept flipping. And like the scientists are saying, the media is the one pushing the agenda. And every now and then you'll see like, they posted that one article of the hospital quitting, like all the doctors quitting and the nurses quitting, because most of the people that were in ICU were non-jab. But then you got a bunch of doctors. You got doctors, been doctors 36 years. It's like, man, I've, seen people that got the jab and started developing cardiac arrest, and Hope D and all kind of things. And they said, y'all, and in the history, they said that they see when they treat it, it's better. But you have, this administration. I don't even. The thing is, I just don't know why they're pushing it so hard. Like, I would like to see what the end goal is. It's kind of like some Hell Hydra bullshit. Like, that's what it felt like. It felt like somebody behind that curtain, like Hell Hydra. It's crazy.
It's crazy. Like we living through a sci-fi movie, man. That's what I was talking about the other day. It's like, bro, this is like the beginning, like, that first like 20 minutes of Dawn of the Dead or something. Was like,
don't say that. I gotta go start running. I ain't surviving in that right now. My cardio not too great.
I just hope we get the slow zombies and not the fast running laters. Yeah, the 48 days later, 48 weeks, whatever that movie is. I want the slow joints. Give me them Walking Dead zombies, yo.
I can't do them 28 days later. I Am Legend joints. I'm gonna have to off myself. I ain't. See me on
speaking of our legend, that's what it started off too. I think it started off with
it was a cancer. It was a cancer vaccine.
Yep. So they like to foreshadow stuff. So I'm hoping everybody get the treadmill, get one of them Peloton joints, because you gonna need. If we're right, let's go to the next joint with Nicki Minaj, man. She was big in the headlines, where she had a back and forth with Don Lemon and Joy-Ann Reid about. She's basically said her whole story about how one of her relatives, future husband, got the joint in his testicles or something swelled up, and they called off the wedding or something. So she was like, yo, be careful, and it didn't even seem like it was something that was super anti-jab me, because she already stated that she would get the joint if she needed to tour or whatever. We know she part of the machine. So it's the crazy that you had so much backlash about that, right? So, I'm asking, is she really down for the cause of just riding the wave? I think what happened when once, Joy-Ann Reid and Don Lemon start coming at her, if you look at the history of Nicki Minaj, now it's just game on. I need to win this battle. So for me, I think she's just exhibiting that kind of ego, you know what I mean? Like, oh, okay, you want to tell me I'm wrong? And she lit Don Lemon up too. I don't even think I can say what she I don't even think I can say what she wrote about that cat. You know what I'm saying? But she was going hard in the paint, man. And I'm not necessarily thinking it's because she on the side or whatever. I think she just kind of like felt offended that they would even question her story and what she was laying down. What you think about that?
Yeah, they tried to come at her hard. She said something about going to the White House or something like that, and they like had a White House representative say we never invited her. Like, they were just trying to like make everything she said. She made it seem like they tried to make her seem like she was a liar. And then on top of that, if you look at what really was kind of going on, it's kind of interesting. You said, we touched on this topic, but in the news with Nicki Minaj, her husband was charged with, I think, rape or something on lines of that. He got pretty much a rape charge back in the day, did prison time. And, not saying that is right or wrong, but it's kind of convenient that now the woman has, she already had her lawsuit, but then she had an interview on, I believe, The View. It was one of those big TV shows where she's coming out speaking about her lawsuit against Nicki Minaj and her husband, I believe, Kenneth Petty. And, why didn't she have, this interview a year ago or however long, when she filed it? It's kind of ironic and convenient that, now she's, coming out and speaking. And the woman seems very generous. I did watch the interview. I mean, she seems very genuine about what happened to her. And I believe what happened. But it's just very convenient that now she's coming out publicly after she said she didn't want to come out publicly around the time that Nicki Minaj kind of, they made her anti-jabber, essentially, right? And now they're coming out and they're trying to attack her. I believe she was dropped from Fenty beauty line. And that was, that was probably Rihanna. That's probably was the machine of what Fenty is right now, saying, we can't, this anti-vax, we can't do that. And they coming at her family. I believe these are, we all know that that's how they get you. They start very they start very low with what they can reach and before they start digging deep. And the last thing, I believe the Kenneth Petty situation where now the woman's coming out. I believe this, I don't want to say that, it could be insensitive, but it's just very convenient that she says these remarks and the woman goes on one of the biggest platforms in media, The View, and has this interview after stating she didn't want to be known as the tie to Nicki Minaj and her husband. I do believe that they did probably try to give her some money, but the amount of money that they tried to give her allegedly was like 20 racks. That's super disrespectful for being a rape victim. They should have came with like a bag of like $1 million, or something. Like you could have gave up $1 million. Birdman say they gave Nicki Minaj 400 mil. You know what I mean? You could have.
Yeah, we believing Birdman though.
I mean,
that's a lot of bread
like 40 years. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's like I could have, but yeah, man, I feel like she's going to be attacked. She does need the victory. She does need to win, because I don't think she's favorite anymore as held as high on her pedestal in media as she once was, with the emergence of Cardi B, and then you got a lot of other women. That's how they do in that realm. They put women against each other, and they it's very competitive in that lane. And I believe Cardi B comes off as more likable. But I don't think Nicki, when being a mom or a parent is change your whole perspective, give you purpose. And I think Nicki Minaj she had her mic on without a publicist. That's just what happened. She said something that she felt, and she was telling a story, not really understanding the ramifications of her brand. And now she has to fight the machine that is big media. And they're undefeated. Media does not lose at all. Especially when it comes to this jab situation. You can't beat them, but you can save face, so hopefully it does not deter any of her financial opportunities this year, next year, or whenever.
But she does have such a dedicated fan base, right? A lot of these people, they have such a dedicated fan base that it kind of really doesn't matter if the media. That's why I think they went so hard as to even like talk about White House and went all crazy in terms of mainstream media and news. CNN talking about Nicki Minaj talking about a tweet about jabs. Like, why is that even news? If they didn't even go so hard, it would have just died out. Nobody would even talk about it. They like bigged it up. They made it worse than what it was. It's almost like you got that scab that you keep picking at. Now you bleeding over the place, right? Like if you just leave it alone, it'll crust up and fall off. But they go so hard to maintain their narrative that when they see somebody like a Nicki Minaj who has 40 million, however many million, Twitter followers and Instagram followers and all this other stuff, that they go into panic mode, yo. That's telling in itself that you go into panic mode because an entertainer says something, right?
It's probably true. Let's throw that out there. That joint's probably true. And because one of the things that we know about the jab is that it makes women sterile.
Yeah, they had I just seen an article. It's crazy because I just read an article and it was such a biased article. It was like, yeah, you had more stillbirths in Mississippi, basically trying to say how stupid red state people are, and you had an increase in stillbirths because basically people not getting pregnant, women not getting jabbed enough, and people in these red states so stupid they taking horse paste, and you know what I'm saying, they got all these narratives that they having, like I want to say it's almost double the amount of stillbirths. However, the article doesn't say how many of those stillbirths was jabbed. Just because it's a red state doesn't mean that those people weren't jabbed up. It don't even mention that in the article, right? It's just crazy the amount of media bias, yo. You can't even watch the news no more. You can't watch the news, yo. Like, you better off listening to podcasts. Like, you see that little KWAZ button, you better off subscribing to that and listen to these cats than you is Don Lemon them, because you ain't finna get nothing of value from that, yo. Straight propaganda all day. It's sad, yo. You will literally get depression. We have record amount of depression. Teen suicides is through the roof. They not talking about none of that. These kids, man, if you look at any of these kids, particularly in blue states where they locking them down and they not letting them be with their friends. I had a homegirl tell me about how her son, who basically plays with this other kid, the neighbor kid, every day, right? He comes home crying from school, basically because they say he can't sit on the bus next to his little friend, who he plays with every day, who he sees every day. Like, they neighbors, they play with each other. The parents cool with it, right? Even if they agree with it, you can't sit on the bus on a little seat for a little school ride to, because of the Rona. So this kid comes home crying. What kind of crazy stuff we got going on out here? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so,
but sports is still good, right? The machine of child sports is going on, right? They're gonna make sure that they can still funnel kids for NCAA, for high school now, because high school players can get paid now, which is going to start now trickling money into a lot of these private high schools, right? Like St. Pat's, St. Benedict, St. Anthony's, because the public schools, you'll get your once in a lifetime player. But like, I think even Zion went to private school, he did that. He didn't go to a public school in South Carolina, and it's insane. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. But I will say there is some benefit to listening to like CNN, Fox, and
it's coming next.
That you can, because a lot of these people, I was talking to a guy today about law. He was helping move some stuff today, and young guy, and he was telling me about how he had, and it's funny because he's a white dude, but he was trying to pretty much essentially saying, I'm in the military and I'm white, so I can probably get a concealed carry permit. Now, essentially, he didn't say that, but he kept telling me how he probably could. I said, no, bro, it's not happening. It's not happening. You're not getting a concealed carry permit in New Jersey.
Now
he was very adamant about it. Very adamant about it. But I say that to say, when you listen to how these people talk and they get a lot of these people getting their information and in their validity from these outlets, it's easy to manipulate these people. I listen to them to understand. Once I start hearing certain people talking, it sound like they watch CNN video from last night that I seen. It's like, I already know where the end of your road in this conversation is going to be. So I listen to it just how to have that counterpunch ready to go. Like, what you gonna say about this? Because they ain't you wrong, and
but you like a critical thinker, I think like people like me, you, certain people who can actually look at nuance, it's beneficial actually for us to look at it, so we can be like, okay, that's how I've been predicting stuff that's gonna happen this year all year, and I'm not a clairvoyant. I just look at the news and see what they talking about, right?
I'm gonna throw this out there, not to cut you off, but we kind of predicted a lot of stuff. I'm gonna say we predicted this administration, how they were gonna act. We called it. We said as soon as they get that vote, they're gonna say F black people, and that's what they be doing. We called the Jeff Epstein, what was gonna happen to him when he was still alive. We said, oh, it ain't looking too good for him, We called a few other things too. We called quite a few things like months before it happened.
Oh yeah, I've got messages like, "Oh, you predicted." Like people sending me news articles like, "Didn't you say this was gonna?" Yeah, I did, because it's not hard. It's like I said, you don't have to be a super genius, yo. Like, they tell you what they're gonna do. You know what I'm saying? Even if through movies they tell you what's coming down the pipe. You know what I'm saying? So all you gotta do is pay attention. And then he's like, okay, we see what's back when they first started all this whole, 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Nobody even remember that no more. It wasn't even about stopping cases or whatever. The initial push was that, people gonna get took out It might get bad or whatever, but our main goal, we don't want the hospitals to be overrun, so you can still get your, heart surgeries. You can still go up there if you get. It was nothing about this whole cases thing. It wasn't about. It was accepted like, yo, this it is what it is, right? So respiratory viral and seasonal viral infection is gonna be like the flu. It is what it is, but we know the first initial push is going to be bad, because your immune systems are not used to it. So in order for us not to have the hospital shut down because there's too many of y'all there, we're going to do this for 2 weeks. And we are where we are now, where they telling you you can't work if you don't get your jabbies. How you go from there to that? You feel me?
Which should be unconstitutional. Like, I'm surprised that I don't even know who would you sue in that case? Because you couldn't sue. I guess you would have to sue the United States. It would have to be like you would have to sue the United States. That with the amount of data that one what's this guy? I think we talked about this last time, but the one professor, he actually won his lawsuit based off of the science. He said, my T cell count and my my antibody count is higher than people that are jabbed up, and he got the information, or just as high, and the science proved that it was. And because they was trying to tell him, if you weren't jabbed up, you can't teach at our university. And then he actually won his case, which is and it seemed like he won it relatively easy. That wasn't like a legal cases could last years. And the fact that he got a verdict so quick tells me that the science is overwhelming. Like,
if you know what you're doing. Not to cut you off, but if you know what you're doing with the court system, I think like they talk crazy about the Moors, right? These Moors, people came and all, but those people know the legal system, yo. Like, they know it inside and out. You know what I'm saying? At least the ones that's legit. You got some
practice it.
Yes, you got people faking the funk out here, but they know it in and out, so they go in there and do what they got to do and go to the crib, like. And it's crazy to me. Nobody knows anything about the legal system, yo. They don't read nothing. Things that affect you every day in terms of, the constitutional rights and Bill of Rights and things like people don't know nothing about the court system. You know what I mean? And the people who know what they're doing, even if you have the like the religious exemptions they got going on right now, people trying to do that or whatever. It's like you can't just submit that and then just, oh, okay, I believe this and here go my paperwork. No, you have to overwhelmingly flood them with evidence. Like, you have to make it so difficult for them to fight whatever you got going on that it's not even worth it at that point. Because it's like, okay, he know this Negro know what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? You flood them with 50 letters of testimonials. You don't just flood them with, oh, okay, my old lady say I'm religious, so I go to church. You go my pastor. Nah, you best to have 55 letters, yo. You best to have scientific research saying, yo, this and this is in that, and I don't agree with this. You know what I'm saying? Here goes the fucking sleeve from the jab, and it says what's in it, and this goes against what this and this and this is connected to this. You better have your stuff together, and if you do that, then you good to go. But if you just try to, half-ass it to come in lazy, bro, you're not finna win in this legal system.
Yeah, they said Allen Iverson more back in the day. I was probably young boy days, like in the barbershop more. Had the Moors and the 5%ers, and they was like, see how quick Allen Iverson got out of that case. Remember when they said he?
Oh yeah.
That case did drop for somebody that was hated in the media. That thing disappeared in like 2 days. So. But yeah, I'm actually praying for Nicki Minaj because you were talking about that she does have such a big following, but who's most of her followers? Probably people in the LGBT and the rest of the letters. I just don't know what they are. And then women, So we're saying that, violence against women could be met with prejudice, and the fact that people, how the media could swing it, that she supports violence against egregious violence against women by marrying a person that did something like that. And, I believe that she had to know about it. Maybe she didn't know about it, what her husband did back in the day. But the fact that she's
I think they go back so far. I think she kind of knew, but it is. That was like the school crush dope boy, you know what I'm saying? Excuse me. type
I
of
beat
deal.
up all your ex-boyfriends. I beat up.
Yeah, that was the block dude. That was the dude that was getting the bread coming through with the Audi.
But like that narrative will be undefeated. I don't care what her fan base is. And she lose, that kind of narrative to me, that was like a shot. Like you keep going where you going, this is where you're going to end up. We will pull this card and go from there, and then they will put somebody else in her spot, probably Cardi, who's married, or somebody else in her spot. She's not in control of that. Her fans are her fans because they were told to be her fans, right? They probably love who she is and love her music, and she was a moment in time for people to relate to and hold on to something. But we live in a society where people don't hold on to much, let alone listen to a whole album. They listen to one song on repeat. I'm guilty.
The record industry, entertainment industry in itself is so fickle that you can be there and going because you're dependent on this on the system. You're dependent on what they got going on to keep your name. Particularly with hip hop, hip hop so fickle that once you fall off, you gone. You know what I'm saying? Look at all these dudes we had that was getting these major the PD Pablos of the world who just all of a sudden they just gone. You know what I'm saying? Like it's crazy how relevant to not relevant you getting. Granted, Nicki is close to the female Jay-Z or whatever that you can get, but at the same time, if you look at like her fan base, right? Yes, some of them are gonna rock with her, but some of them are fair weather fans. Some of them are there because you hot right now, right? They're not gonna rock with you through the bad times, right? Look at R. Kelly, you know what I'm saying? The R. Kelly situation.
Exactly. Like that's kind of the same lines, narrative lines, and that's like a woman right now who's famous coming out and who's dating she's dating R. Kelly and be like, I support R. Kelly no matter what. Right? Like, yo, I don't care what industry she would be in, she would be done. She would be done. It would be over. She would not have a job. Her whole life would be done. It'd be paparazzi everywhere. It would be over. So I feel like hasn't really came out yet, but they kind of did this with Andrew Gillum in Florida when he was running for governor. They was throwing subliminal jabs at him. Like, you better calm down, brother. And they caught him slipping, booty butt naked in the hotel room with a gay prostitute, pills everywhere, boo-boo all over the covers.
In the fetal position.
Yeah, in a fetal position with the booty in there. And he's supposed to be a married black Christian.
He was like 30,000 votes for being the governor, yo. He was very close.
Oh, they really, yeah. I mean, but then remember, like after he didn't become the governor, he was trying to do something. There was something he was still fighting for, and then all that stuff came out. And they was like, fatality.
Well, they was gonna give him some kind of slot. He was gonna get a senator slot, maybe a representative slot. He was gonna get some. He was gonna be the new golden boy, right?
Yeah, he was, because he was the next Obama. He had the Obama charisma. He had the black family. Black people are probably way more affluent in Florida than they have ever been as far as, resources, money, and everything. And he appealed, he was getting national. I had family in Jersey that was telling me about Andrew Gillum, like he would have made a difference in their life, and it's like, so he was that next one up in politics, and they crucified him. I don't know what he was saying behind closed doors or what he did, but he got crucified, to the point where we probably would never hear that man ever again other than this pod.
They tried to bring him back. They did the interview on 60 Minutes or whatever. It's one of them. Yeah, and they tried to, and the wife, from what I've heard, down here in Florida, man, like it was well known he swing both ways. So the wife was accepting of whatever he had going on. But you already know, bro, like Black people in general is not gonna rock with that narrative, particularly Black women, Black women ain't feeling that. Like, they watched all these what was the joint where Janet Jackson found out like her dude was DLs, like that's like that's still a terrible, that's still like one of the nightmares in the Black You can push it all you want. That's still not gonna be like accepted in the mainstream, black media. That still is a no-no, particularly to black women who are already in competition with other women.
As much as we like to be fake ratchet and hood and street, a lot of black people are conservative. I listen to black people, what they hold valuable. They're conservative things, even in our generation, not just the older black people, but like if I sit there and talk to a black woman about what her goals and dreams and hopes are, or like stuff like what she wants in a man, a lot of it's still the old traditional stuff, white picket fence, family,
strong man,
the
household type of deal.
Yep. So, I'm just hoping that Nicki Minaj's team says, hey, we're gonna go to whatever we need to do to make this right in the media before they crucify our ass, and that'd be the end of you'll see a whole new woman in Young Money. She won't even be there anymore. They probably put Lotto in that place.
Oh yeah, already. That's they new Lil Kim right there, boy. They pushing Lotto.
You see, they made her change her name. Now they saying Lotto, like hit the Lotto, but her name used to be Mulatto. And they already, we can't
have that.
They was like, you gotta get that up out of here. Despite, it's like but now she blowing up.
She willing to do what she got to do, right? She the new Meg the Stallion, you know what I mean? Let's go into the last joint we got. And if y'all out there, we got a couple people watching right now. If y'all got anything y'all want to hit on before we get up out of here, let us know before the end of the final prompt or whatever. We'll try to answer whatever questions y'all got. Shout out to Better Medicine too, Goku. He said CC in New York and New Jersey. Nope.
Yeah, exactly, bro. Like, yeah, but the mindset from this young dude, he was pretty much, and he came from Michigan, and he was pretty much saying like, oh well, this and this, and pretty much I'm white, so I can probably get it. Like, no, brother. But I can hear that his logic was coming from some bullshit, and it's like a person like that, we used to have a real serious conversation or debate, say even at work. I'd be able to kill you. I already know where you get your information from. Because if you reading the case laws, if you're reading, what's going on in the legal system and not in the news, then you would know that CC in Jersey, like you said, ain't happening. I don't care what you white, black, it ain't happening.
Exactly. So let's go ahead. We got the George Floyd bill dying in Congress pretty much. And I know you this one of your joints you passionate about, so go ahead and take that over. I think you probably should be better off break down what was all in the George Floyd bill and what happened in terms of it getting shot down.
There was a few things. I know they had like the clause where you can't sue police, the immunity. They were trying to remove that. That was part of
quantified immunity.
Yeah, quantified immunity. They wanted to remove that, and then there was something else that was big. But they put a bunch of other stuff with the bill they were trying to pass too, which is probably why it didn't pass. But the biggest reasoning, from what I can see, doing a little bit of research on it, was that they didn't want to give up quantified immunity. That was something that was a deal breaker for mostly Republicans. I'm sure it's probably Democrats that didn't want that either too, but seems like it was the big reasoning for it failing. I still I think part of the reason is that you had Cory Booker and his band of merry men trying to pass this bill, and you got the what is he, the Senator Nork now? What is he? He was the mayor of Nork, but he's the senator of something, but he was the mayor of Newark, and when Newark was at its worst, like Newark was bad under Cory Booker, and now you talking about removing quantified immunity from policing. You won't have no police, and I'm not justifying it, but you have to incentivize why. You will have to incentivize, it will have to have a counter, right? If you remove it, what do you put in place to protect this system that has been around protecting them for hundreds of years, And I believe they just kind of went in foolish. And the crazy thing is that it failed despite Democrats having the House, well, Congress and the White House. How did it fail? And people are going to say, well, they don't control everything, but man, you gotta have somebody got to get the blame for it, fam.
But why would you, once again, when you said, like, I think you hit on a big point right there, is when you said that if you get rid of quantified immunity, why would I take that job? It'd be like if I worked at McDonald's and I put some pepper on a burger and you got sick, you had an allergy to pepper from the burger, and you would be able to sue me because I followed the recipe for the burger, right? Why would I take them burgers? Yeah, why would I take that job, yo? I'm not gonna take that. You about to be a fool. If you could personally sue me for doing my job or what I was trained to do, then I'm not finna. Why would I take that job? You have to be a fool, yo, straight fool. And a lot of these places, man, I was looking at just doing research and looking at jobs. You know what I'm saying? Because I might be on chop block, but looking at jobs or whatever. It is like one of these places to be a cop is like starting off 40, 42 a year or something like that. I'm like, dude, so I'm finna, for 42 a year, I'm finna take this job where I'm chasing meth heads all through Florida, and doing all this and that and the third. And at the same time, if I do something where somebody gets hurt, I get a lawsuit. And they just gonna flood you with lawsuits. You're just gonna get flooded with every time somebody gets hurt any type of way for anything you do, you finna get a lawsuit every time. Even they don't.
Yeah, you wouldn't even be able to afford the lawyer fees at $41,000.
No, you're gonna get it every time, So I think that's probably you kind of in between a rock and a hard place. And I'm definitely not one of those people that's like, oh, the thin blue line and all that. Man, I done got, growing up in Chicago, the things I tell you, the police told me and then did and all this other stuff. I'm firmly on these dudes need to get their shit together type of whatever, right? But at the same time, just being a logical thinking person, if you take away quantified immunity, nobody's gonna take that job, period. They already don't want to take that job because it doesn't pay. It's like being an offensive lineman in the NFL without the money. It's like if you was an NFL offensive lineman getting paid $20,000. It's like, okay, I'm finna get rushed I gotta stop dudes like Myles Garrett. I'm backpedaling. I'm never gonna get any kind of name recognition to be able to sell any merch. How many people are buying offensive lineman jerseys, right? But at the same time, I'm only getting $20K for this terrible job upon which I'm getting abused every day and gotta stop Khalil Mack from turning the corner and hitting my quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yo, you know what that reminded me of, though? You know that scene in Friday After Next, when the Fiend he opened up the presents and he get that jersey and it's like Dada. If you see somebody rocking the offensive line jersey, I don't know where everybody else from, but you gotta take that off, bro. Don't even walk in this spot. Jeff Saturday. Yo, you got a whole day on your back of your joint. You love Saturday, motherfucker. Like you couldn't do that. That'd be a horrible day for you. Where I'm from,
exactly. A Richie Incognito jersey. It can't happen, but they doing the most work. They out there every down. They don't get to come out like the running backs and the receivers get a break, get you some Gatorade. Whatever.
They dealing with the monsters, bro.
Yeah, every play.
You dealing with the monsters. You dealing with dudes 260 benching 505 running a 4.4. Yo, that's scary. If a person in the gym like that, a person that big shouldn't be that fast. That's like a train hitting you.
Yeah, Myles Garrett. I was watching Myles Garrett just destroy the Bears earlier, man. This dude's a freak. This dude can dunk. This dude's like 6'5", running a 4.6.
Oh yeah, Myles Garrett, we gotta give Myles Garrett his flowers while he's still playing for dealing with the gross disrespect from that quarterback that's not even in the league no more. He's slapping him up. He had to
swing the him. Yo, he snatched through him and off and almost popped him with it, bro. I'm glad he didn't connect though, man. He would have got an assault charge out the yin yang hitting that.
Yeah, but it's so crazy because he was defending himself, and so I'm gonna give Myles Garrett his flowers, brother. While he here, he said, "Yo, you insane? kill you.
Yeah, that dude is ridiculously athletic, yo, at that size. So that's one of them dudes. He smacked your girl butt, bro. You just gotta eat that, bro.
Yeah, you be like, you better not like that shit.
You mad at her? Why you let him stay?
Well, you know, it's kind of like the audacity of that quarterback. I forget what his name was, man.
Who cares? I don't
you really thought you was about to beat Myles Garrett?
Yo, he was swinging from his back. He was like swinging from the crowd.
You really thought, like, you know, it's that, I'm gonna call it what it is. It's that white privilege. I'm gonna hit you. You better not hit me back. And that's exactly what happened in the media. He started the fight and then played the victim. I don't know why he did what he did. No,
oh my God.
Exactly why.
Oh my God.
He survived that. You know, the fact that he's still playing football is because Cap still ain't in the league and Cap ain't hit nobody.
Nah.
You know?
So yeah, salute to Myles Garrett, yo.
But get back to the George Floyd bill. You know, another thing, I don't think they should have named it the George Floyd bill.
Oh, I was about to say that. I had forgot about
bro. Like, what the F was they thinking? Naming, if you want the result, don't name it after a controversial person. You know, like, granted, we understood what happened, but a lot of people, especially Black women, man, it's a lot of Black women that was not right once once they seen who his girlfriend was, who was a white woman, and once they kind of started seeing the history of George Floyd and a lot of stuff he was doing. I think he did a home invasion and kicked down a woman's door or something like that, allegedly, and was charged with it. And, you know, a lot of Black women weren't rocking with him. I'm not saying a lot, like majority, but, you know, he wasn't a unanimous support for George Floyd. It was more unanimous support that was horrible policing. And so I don't think they should have named it, especially with everything that came out of the George Floyd situation. You know, there was a lot of rioting. There was people, you know, I think what's that, the kid that drove down and started shooting up people that got beat up in the street and started popping people. I think that was due to
talking Kyle. No, he was a conservative right wing, and he was working with the Pope.
Didn't that stem from the George Floyd riots? Like,
that was that West riot.
But, you know, that wasn't so much people protesting for George Floyd. That was when already that whole movement got hijacked by a couple other organizations, and that's who was out there. But you know, that stemmed. There was a lot of things that happened that stemmed from the George Floyd movement that you weren't going to get full support for, especially with 3 Black representatives taking a bill that has a controversial Black person. You know, we probably pretty much made George Floyd a martyr.
Man, they tried to lift this dude above Martin Luther King, if you ask me.
They put a statue up of him.
Yeah, he got statue, bro. He got statue in New York bigger than Malcolm X. How's that possible, bro?
Yeah, Black, we bugging for that one. You know, I know wholeheartedly that, you know, was some sad shit, but
I would never downplay what would happen to him, but bro, Malcolm X and you don't give no kind of tribute to that brother who sacrificed his life basically in defense of his people. And then George Floyd, who happened to, you know, be one of many victims of police violence. You know, that's crazy, yo. He needs, like, Malcolm X definitely needs his flowers over above, you know what I mean? Or George Floyd, you know what I mean?
And we can name other, you know, what about Trayvon and, you know, who, you know, things, you know.
Tamir Rice, he ain't got no bill named after him. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
Exactly. He a child. That's a child. We should be wanting to protect childs. They could have passed the same legislation with a different narrative. And I think it probably wouldn't have. I can't say it might have, but it would have had a way better chance to naming it the George Floyd bill. In the height of the George Floyd situation, they let it be known, we're going to name this bill after George Floyd. You know, that was to me, that was a lot of bullshit to get votes, you know, and you know, they were talking about passing that from on the Democratic side. You know, that was a narrative in a lot of those debates, getting that bill passed. And you know, on the flip side, what was it? 76 Asians got beat up, wasn't even murdered, you know, and I'm not saying it's right, but they got a record-breaking bipartisan support to get that bill passed.
Mm-hmm.
Record breaking. That thing in some of these articles, it was like, we've never seen this kind of support. You know, like it was like unanimous decision. They said it was never a unanimous decision for anything. I think it was like 96-1, pretty much. But that one person probably was an accident. He probably checked the box.
But y'all got Juneteenth. Y'all got a Juneteenth holiday, so you know I guess it was worth what you're going through right now.
And we got they're still trying to put Rosa Parks on the bill too.
I thought it was Harriet Tubman.
Oh, Harriet Tubman, that's even worse. Like, a lot of people better not let that happen. We let that happen. We
Hey, yo, imagine putting a abolitionist on a Federal Reserve note. Yo, that gotta be the most oxymoronic thing I've ever heard.
While he's about to make you unemployed. Like, oh, you're gonna be quicker than that? Hanging that dollar from that fishing pole. Like, it's like,
yeah, the symbolism, yo. We gotta stop the whole symbolism thing, yo. It's so easy to control Black people, man. Just any symbolic type of issue, you can just throw it out there and they love it, yo. It's like you don't have to throw anything tangible to take some of these people's terms, no tangibles, but they don't even have to even throw anything in regards to that. You just got to throw something symbolic out there. All right, here go a holiday. You can fire up your grills and
go
pull out your flags. Yeah, they probably say that. I guarantee you're gonna see some Juneteenth Hennessy commercials next year.
Oh yeah,
Mark my words.
Nas is the the brand ambassador for Hennessy now, so it'll be a thought-provoking commercial with some BLM in it with Nas voice in the background narrating it. Probably be like a black and white scene of like 2022, but they're gonna make it look like it's 1960. Make you feel like you came from such a crazy struggle, even though most of the people nowadays, had it pretty honest, pretty easy comparison.
Exactly. Compared to what people had to deal with previously, you got it pretty decently, man. I was bringing that up earlier, man. Like statistically, you living in the most peaceful time in human history. People like, what? No, man, look here, yo. At one time you had to like worry about somebody invading your village and kidnapping your kids and taking your woman, and like that was a deadly thing. Like, yo, yeah. At any given moment, your village could be invaded and they could take what you got and take your women and your kids, bro, make them slaves. Like that was a deadly bit. What you say?
Probably more than likely kill the kids and just take the women.
It depends. It depends on how old the kid was. If they are young enough, you can indoctrinate them. But that was a daily part of life, yo. I was in Mexico one time, bro, and they was telling me how the woman, while the dude was out there hunting all day, the woman had to walk like 20 miles a day to get some fresh water just for the day, every day. I'm like, whoa, yo, this is crazy. So we got the privilege to argue about pronouns these days. You know what I mean? Like which bathroom you're gonna use and nonsense like that. So we need to start using our time that we have for more things that's going to be actual beneficial to the life of people. You know what I'm saying? And also I think we need to get back to our, like kind of our roots, not to go too much off subject, but we need to get back to simple things, man. The brother King Randall was out there in Baltimore teaching kids how to change their brake pads and tires and stuff like that, air filters and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? If you can do that, you saving a couple hundred a year. You know what I mean? So we need to get back to actually knowing how to do stuff, because if not, we're going to be enamored into bullshit pursuits where we arguing about our pronouns. You feel me?
Yeah, agreed. But yeah, they passed that Asian bill under a year.
Yeah, they ain't playing no games with that. But then again, you know what I mean? You got to look at the power dynamic. I don't even think necessarily people say that America is such a racist country. I wouldn't even say it's a racist country. I think it's a power dynamic country these days. I think whoever has the power, if any country in Africa was on the trajectory that China was on, then I think that country would take over. You know what I'm saying? That country be getting just as much respect as a China or Asian community is getting right now. You know what I'm saying? We just don't have the power dynamic. And the way you get the power dynamic is you take over an industry. Yo, they took over. Man, go in your living room right now. Half the stuff you see is made in China, bro. They say, yo, we gonna lock it down. We gonna take over this one industry. We gonna build up stuff, and then we gonna extract the wealth and things like that. So I think at the end of the day, you need to build your power base, and America will respect that. To me,
yeah, definitely. And China. You see how disciplined, regardless if you agree with it or not, being a communist nation, those are some of the most disciplined people. Even the immigrants that come over here, and you see how hard they work. Like I had a Chinese guy in one of my classes when I first moved out to Jersey, and man, we talked about you do your introductions and we've broken up into a group project, and he was honest. He said, "Bro, I'm just here for the grade. I'm working." He's breaking down his day to day, and I understood. And he wasn't proficient in speaking English either. Just very disciplined people, man. Very disciplined culture in society. I think part of our issue as Black people is we're undisciplined. And that's partly by design. They kill off the head of anybody that brings us together and provides any structure to our communities. But we have to kind of see through that and start at the lowest level possible. And you can see that in heart disease rates. Black people heart disease rates are like 1 in every 2 people got heart disease in the Black community down there. So we just need discipline and need to recognize when things aren't good for us. What I mean? Even if at this point they putting Black people in media positions to be figureheads to push agendas, and they the George Floyd bill fell through. Like, all right, well, why did it fall through? What did you do? How are you letting that even be a narrative that it fell through? What does that even mean? Does that mean you're not going to push for what you're trying to push for? You know what I mean? Like,
I even restructure it and come back later on with something that's more tangible. Maybe you remove the quantified immunity thing and still do a national registry or whatever, which I'm always apprehensive of anything that kind of leads to a federalized police force, which is what that registry thing kind of sounds like, unless it's local. But like even then they restructured bills all the time. Like you said, rename that joint, come back with something different. You know what I mean? Or are you just gonna let it die?
Yeah, bro. I agree. We just need to get it together and start forcing, like, hey, Cory Booker, if you can't get this pass, you out, bro. We'll make sure you out.
He'd be going anyway, yo. Get Cory out of there, yo. But I think that's all we got. I don't see any more questions or anything in the chat.
Got a mustache, man.
Nah, you can't trust a Black man without a mustache. You already know that.
Never trust no Black person on no mustache.
Yep. Rule number 1, yo.
How you from North and ain't got no beard, no mustache? Yeah, this was wrong, Black people. We go against the grain. You know the rules, know the vibes. You don't trust no Black person.
Yo, it's like you can't trust no Black person without a mustache. You can't trust a white person with a mustache.
Go give LL Cool J a pass.
He a legend, bro. He a legend in the game.
You got to just throw it out there. LL get the pass.
But that's all we got here, man. I don't see any questions in the chat. So, on behalf of the staff here, the crew here at the Harsh Reality Podcast, salute the Ride who coming back next week. I gotta say that's all I got, bro. You got anything you need to plug?
No, I actually gotta get these kids situated, get ready for the week. It's always a pleasure, my pleasure. Always an honor to be on, wrapping it up, venting, because I can't vent at work. I work amongst those people.
You with the redacted, yo.
Yeah, the redacted. So this is more of a vent and therapy session for me. So thank you and all the listeners, because this helps me deal with my trauma, my daily trauma, dealing with the bullshit I got to deal with. So, but I appreciate all of it.
Definitely. So on behalf of everybody here at the Harsh Reality Podcast, I gotta say peace.